Hey, Alex.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
Back at it. Last time we did this was in Cannes,
Yes.
under much warmer
Yeah,
conditions.
we were wearing our linen.
Yes, we were shorts and linens with sunglasses on.
Mm-hmm.
At Belle Plage it was, by the way, folks, on the beach. It was wonderful. All right. Alex, just give a quick intro of yourself.
Sure thing. So first of all, thank you, Olyzon, for having me. One of my favorite Tupac songs, so always appreciate the name. I am Alex Stone. I lead enterprise partnerships at Horizon Media. I've been at Horizon for 11 years, and enterprise partnerships really consists of soup to nuts. We really centralize all of our relationships from our DSPs and SSPs through data, our social platforms, our publishers, our video partners, upfronts, all in one centralized group, and I lead that group.
Thank you. And as Nadia mentioned earlier, my main job is doing M&A transactions at Landmark Ventures, but I also run a newsletter called Quo Vadis and an event called Advertising Economic Forum. I'm actually doing, by the way, on February 25th, this new experimental event that Fern knows about because I tested it in London in December. It's called Last Media Dollar, and it's a real online game you can play about behavioral economics and how we make choices about media spend. And hundreds of people have played this game, and what's relevant is that what we know from the game is that there are 22 places where you can spend money, media money, right? You can spend it on linear TV, you can spend it on traditional radio, you can spend it on meta, search, retail media, so on and so forth. There's 22 buckets. It adds up to $1 trillion of media spend. And what we know is that the preference rankings from all the gameplay, that CTV under indexes by 3.5%, under indexes by 3.5x, meaning that marketers would love to spend more there and less on linear TV, which we know from this eMarketer report and probably your experience as well. So I have a whole, we got a little prep session, but this is really, I think will be more of an improvisational conversation based on kind of how we prepped. But how we set this event up with Nadia, we said, okay, listen, in the consulting world, there's a thing called situation, complication, resolution, impact. It's a basic framework for problem solving. So the situation, as Jewel just pointed out, in CTV and linear TV or TV in general, but with CTV in particular, it's big, getting bigger, it's a richer experience for consumers. Complication, fragmentation, complexity, friction, that creates uncertainty, and uncertainty creates a perception of risk in decision making. So then situation, complication, resolution. Resolution is really the opposite. It's like, how do I get clarity, decision support through data analysis, through AI? And that raises one's confidence in the decisions that they're making. And of course, the impact is provable outcomes without debate, meaning we don't need to debate whether the outcomes were real or not. So I'm going to pause right there because our job right here is to cover the situational, contextual part of what's going on in CTV. So from a top-line perspective, what are your thoughts and what you see at the agency just with CTV, conversations with clients, and some of the things maybe that Jewel referenced as well?
You know, at the agency, I feel like this is a topic that we've been tackling for probably, at this point, I don't know,
we're in the decade
6 or 7 years. Thank you. And yeah, the better part of a decade.
It's not the year of CTV.
Right. It's not the year of CTV. Honestly, we've gravitated towards talking about streaming video, right? Right now, we're not building a linear plan and a CTV plan and a social plan. We're building a video strategy. That video strategy could include things like video podcasts, right? It can include non-CTV elements. CTV streaming large screen is certainly a big component of it. Whereas linear as a part of it has been known for awareness building and trying to, build, cases for whatever the brand is, brand equity. With CTV, we're trying to be more measurable, more calculated about it. We're trying to understand that, hey, it's not a blunt force object. We don't have to just target on demo. We have the ability to utilize audience segments. They could be first-party audience segments, but we can now target on this. So, when we're having that conversation with our clients, it's more about the additive nature of all of these elements of video that build a more holistic plan.
Yeah, and then on some of the things that Jewel mentioned around, like, yeah, I'm imagining you see the same things any agency would see with clients asking about CTV. What do we do? What's our strategy in that particular area of media allocation? And you're probably seeing some of these frictional things as well. Meaning, all right, well, how why are we showing up in this programming versus some other programming?
Yeah, yeah. So it's if you take a step back at the world of linear, a lot of linear properties, when the upfronts are going on and each individual account is negotiating and setting up their buys, they have like a do not run list or do not air list, and it's very easy for a network to basically check the boxes to ensure that your ad won't appear in those pods.
Right.
Because CTV is so much more expansive between VMVPDs, fast networks, SVODs, and native streaming platforms. More stuff can get passed by the goalie, and I think the conversation has turned more from, hey, we only want to run in these shows and these programs, more to, hey, this is the acceptable content. Here's the contextual resonance that we're trying to proceed with. Here's our mentality when it comes to our brand. Here's what's okay. Here's what's in the yellow, and here's where we absolutely don't want to be. And I think that's kind of the setup. We have to work with our third-party partners to measure that, and then it's up to us to really audit and negotiate make goods in those rare instances that we do run outside those parameters.
Okay, I want to kind of just switch gears on sort of on market sizing here, just so the folks know. Out of the $1 trillion that's spent globally, it's roughly $1 trillion in 2025. It's going to grow, according to Brian Weezer, like 6.6% this year. But we can say on average, media spend grows around 5% a year. It generally grows with revenue growth of companies because media budgets are tied to revenue growth. However, so with that, CTV in 2025 is $29 billion in spend. That's FAST. That's your premium CTV, Netflix, Amazon Prime, et cetera. Linear TV, this is global, this is not US numbers, is $143 billion compared to 29. YouTube is not included in my CTV number. That's an extra 40 billion. So you add it all together, because YouTube, which we're going to talk about in a second, that is CTV. It's nothing but TV. It's a little bit different, but it's still TV. We're going to ask the audience a question on that in a second. But the total of those three things together, CTV, YouTube, and linear, is 200 billion. Okay, Google search is the biggest. That's 220 billion. So that's 22%. Meta's 17%, which would be third place. And TV altogether is second place. That's a really big segment. That's 60% right there, right? So I think, if we assume, I think what we talked about a couple of days ago was, well, we know linear is declining by 3% a year. We know that CTV grows when linear declines because the money moves over dollar for dollar and a little bit extra actually into CTV. But from that context, what are clients asking for with CTV, knowing that these shifts are taking place around eyeballs and around that type of those spend levels?
Yeah, so I think our clients, they want to understand incremental reach that can be existed, when maneuvering and moving dollars from linear to more streaming.
So that's a sense of like everything's changing, but nothing's changing because they still just want incremental reach.
Well, incremental reach, and some clients, it's ensuring that they're hitting this particular frequency on a weekly basis, and what's it going to cost in order to get an incremental frequency for a particular audience and that kind of thing. So these are the types of analysis that we're doing or relying on our AI tools to now do, and we're more atomic about it. So and agentic. So yeah, I think those are the things that we're trying to solve the report. And I think something that was said in the report, it's not just about like the evaluation of the data, but it's action on the data. And so it's more about that real-time optimization, which our clients are looking for, whether it's just strictly media, but often it's also including creative elements, and how can we track and get signals off of the creative to better score creative and run creative that's going to resonate with our audiences.
Okay, then I want to go back to YouTube for a second, just because we talked about this. So how many people here think YouTube is not CTV, not television? So everybody here is in agreement that YouTube, it's not. Well, then my question would be, like our question would be then, if you're watching something on YouTube, what would you be doing otherwise? Because you can't watch YouTube and watch like, ABC News at the same time on the TV, right? So, but it's a really big thing out there, right? Now, how important do you think it is that, I mean, because YouTube is a thing where it's CTV, but not,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, right. So I don't want to make this a sales pitch for Google, but yeah, I mean they have cornered the market, right? They've got YouTube TV, their vMVPD. They've got their user generated content, which is often within like the TrueView realm, and then you've got YouTube Select, which is their top 1% of premium, right? And that could be professionally produced. It could be produced by networks, whatever it is. I think Shorts is kind of the come up that's currently glowing up, and we see a lot of momentum there with investment going in that direction because it can be seen on your mobile device and often is seen on your mobile device, but it could be seen in the CTV environment as well. So really when we're planning our video strategy, we're often incorporating almost all of those elements of the YouTube.
yeah, because it's video holistic, independent of where the video is really running and what programming.
Correct. And again, like you could pull parameters and category target or target based on certain mentality or brand safety metrics as well. So
right now, I mean, this was before CTV, but you were at Omnicom for I think 11 years, and then 9 years and 11 years at Horizon. Now, very loyal, 2 jobs. So I wonder if from what you see in other agencies, whether it's Omnicom, Havas, Publicis, whoever, are they thinking also holistically around video? I think it's pretty similar across the board.
I do. I think it is. I think it's similar. I think you see these worlds combining. I think that's why what you've seen is Amazon and YouTube become part of that upfront week. I think that's why there still is a new front week. I know it's earlier now than it was, but I could assure you that when X or LinkedIn or whoever it is, Snap, Meta, they're going to be talking about video. Like it is going to be an element that they're addressing. So again, it's more part of that holistic story of where's that dollar going to go.
Right. So okay, I want to shift gears to the subject du jour, as my friends here at Olyzon. What is around AI, right? Because Olyzon is an AI company from the get-go. And things are moving really quickly, no matter what sector or what problem.
Every 6 weeks, there's another innovation cycle.
There's a whole new. It's kind of now, of course, with OpenAI announcing ads and maybe at a $60 CPM, and that's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. But as far as when you look at Blue and AI and what that brings in particular to the CTV world, right? We talked a little bit about, whether it's tailored contextual, whether it's measurement, but there's a whole host of things that I think unlock or open the door that weren't there before, that's going to make it go a little bit quicker, hopefully.
Yeah. So thanks for bringing up Blue. Horizon and Horizon OS, which is OpenSphere, that's predominantly where our focus has been. Blue is our end-to-end planning solution that really helps us with channel planning, audience planning, measurement, optimization, and it will have creative elements.
And that's something clients have access to as well, correct?
Yeah, it's fully democratized. So our full agency has been trained on it. And I think we're up to like 75% certified, which will be 100%, I'm sure, by the end of the year. But our clients are getting hands-on keyboard training so that they have access and ability in a transparent fashion to the same tools that the agency does. So again, we're not trying to hide anything, and I think it's really created that level of trust. I think trust was something that we talked about with CTV as well. So it's bringing that in. From a CTV perspective and how we're looking at things within Blue, we have reach tools. We're utilizing companies like Nielsen, but also our publisher solutions and their tools, whether it's like a YouTube reach tool, whatever it is, to really commingle data and figure out where incremental reach will best come from. by partner. We have our blue audience segments, which are first party based. We're utilizing TransUnion as the spine, and we have supplemented that data with various supplemental data partners. So we are able to target and make sure that we are reaching the right audience within a streaming environment. I think where we know things are going is we want to ensure that context and audience is coming together, so that if we have a pod that is being delivered right after a very relevant, time or show, that our ad is being delivered there to the right audience.
And if I'm a client, though,
Yeah.
when I log in, let's say I'm Capital One or Honda or Spectrum, any one of your clients, I log in. Am I logging into like a kind of a Chat GPT interface where I can say, "Hey, we spent $2 million on fast CTV last month or whatever it is, and I want to know the programming that it went against."
Sure. So yeah, all of our clients have unique instances, right? So they're only seeing theirs. It's in a walled garden for their own data, and it has full historical knowledge of past campaigns. It's built on LLM, and we utilize Akamai as our AI engine there, and it does give advertisers, clients, that ability to look in the past to learn for the future. So certainly something we're focused on there.
And then, then we touching on the sort of the creative opportunities, right? Meaning that in CTV, there's more creative opportunity and optionality in CTV with creative, independent of the production of the creative, which can go now in an infinite direction with AI, right? But if I think about the creative that's on linear TV, it's very obtuse. It's good creative a lot of the time. But it's very obtuse, and it's like this one-time thing, and then it goes, and it's kind of blocked in. And then, what about, we talked about this a little bit a couple of days ago in this, around that, the sort of the creative, the contextual creative relevance and what you can do with that on CTV. And is that like the big part of the conversation with clients?
It is with clients that have various creative executions that fit whatever the messaging is, if it's an LTO or any type of promotion or branding exercise that they're running. If there are enough ad units there, we could be very particular in which ad runs based on context. I think we're all kind of getting there. I think that dynamic nature is coming along, and we'll be there soon enough.
All right, and then I'm thinking about, I know this is going to be, Zach's going to talk about a little bit, get into really the complication, the friction in the session that he's going to do. But just to kind of think about that for a second, since we have you on stage, what is it? And, some of the things that Jewel mentioned, what is it that you're seeing or hearing from clients or talking about internally that would magically tomorrow, unlock? Like, what's the most important thing right now to unlock more spend in CTV next week?
So I think the walled gardens are a hindrance, right? I think the understanding of what's going on in the world of Amazon versus the world of YouTube, it is an area that holds things up a little bit, and we have to rely on things like media mix modeling, which aren't necessarily immediate to help with those decisions on where our dollars go and how we optimize. So I mean, I applaud some of the partners out there like Netflix and Roku have been much more agnostic and ability to work in various DSPs, and I think that has gone a long way. I think transparency, that's another thing. We hear about program level transparency in various places, but not all networks agree to the methodology being used, and I do think that that's going to come into play more and more. And then wastage. I think that's the other thing that a lot of clients are looking at. Like, hey, where's my frequency going? Why am I delivering such a high frequency against this fast network and not delivering a high frequency against this premium inventory, whatever it is? And again, that's something that is being fixed and operated on within DSPs and stuff like that. But again, something that if you take your eyes off the wheel, you might have trouble with.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
hands off the wheel.
Hands off the wheel.
Yeah, there you go.
Unless you're driving a Tesla. So I was just thinking about what you were saying around that program level decisioning and the transparency that's available from the sellers themselves of the CTV inventory. And this is a big one for Jewel, right? Because this is where today the technology, your technology today, that's one of the big things that it's solving for. So it's solving for it independent of what they do, right? But what the inventory owners do, and giving that data to the buyers basically to understand and make decisions and report on it, right? So that's a big one. I wanted to, I had a couple more things here. So earlier I had mentioned that we have $1 trillion in global media spend, growing at about 5-6% a year. So that's $50 billion this year, like compared to last year. New money. Where does the new money go? I mean, we know some of it's going to CTV because linear is declining by 3%, CTV is growing at 10%, so that's got to be coming from new money in or somewhere else. Yeah. I don't see it coming from social because, I mean, Meta's going to report, I think tomorrow, they're going to come out with some pretty big numbers in a really good positive report. Google, I think, is also reporting this week. That's going to be, I think, positive. So where in this $50 billion of new money, besides going to places and experimenting with, an OpenAI type of thing, where does the new money go?
I think as sports transitions to programmatic, I think a lot of dollars will transition right to live sports programming as it becomes available. That's inclusive of women's sports and inclusive of the overtimes of the world and different.
I mean, I have YouTube TV, and if I just scroll down the channel guide, I'm not joking. At least 50% of the channels are sports of any type you can think of, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I think that there's. You're still tuning in to, some of ESPN's content, and you're getting like that programming will be back in 50 seconds. Like there's still inventory to be had there.
It's incredible to me that happens.
Yes. Yeah. It certainly is. And it's not like, people are watching, Binghamton basketball and that's happening, although I am, and it's happening all the time.
But how is that happening? Like if I'm watching SportsCenter, you would think there's no way that's unsold inventory, and yet you'll get a 30-second block where it's like on YouTube TV, it's like, that's what I use. It's like a moment of zen, and 30 seconds goes by and there's like a penguin up in Antarctica that you watch.
Yeah.
And I think that's really valuable inventory.
But that's right. So
why does that happen?
It happens because there's little demand. It happens also because of the floor rates that are instituted by a lot of these networks during the upfronts, and they're too proud to lower their floors to open up that inventory, unfortunately. And I think if their yield team had better control and understanding of where there is supply, then that should hopefully allow for more inventory to be sold.
Well, that's actually interesting because part of this big part of the big, I think, topic here is the unlocking CTV budgets, right? So if linear TV, say average, you correct me if I'm wrong, say around a $20 CPM for linear on average, is that a little low?
Yeah, it ranges, right? Sports is higher, everything else is lower.
But if you meld it all together across, it's probably around $20. CTV is going to be what, 40, 45-ish? Is that more?
For CTV?
Or is it lower?
Yeah, it's lower than that.
It's lower.
Yes. Yeah.
So you're telling me that just straight up Netflix, upfront, it's going to be lower than that.
Correct.
I thought it was higher for some reason.
No. I mean, the market's
so then
right-sized.
And so then that would explain the friction of linears really being clinging at that sort of like only declining by 3%. It's because there's a lot of friction in the sell side to say, no, we want to hold on to that $20 CPM because if we let it loose and bring everything over to CTV, that's $12.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a seller, so I can't necessarily speak to what's going on. But I could tell you that the negotiations during the upfronts, it's a sticking point where their floor pricing is and what your clear rate's going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing.
If you're not setting up fixed CPMs and that kind of thing. And when your fixed CPMs are set up, that potentially you could go lower based on the amount of inventory available.
Yeah, there's probably some hesitation amongst the linear TV sort of old boys club out there around, because that's effectively what it is for the most part. But it's sort of like, well, I want to hold on to this as long as I can because I'm a little worried about the way the open web went. If I just change everything and go to this full programmatic Jeff Green world, I worry about that because all of a sudden I might just get $5 CPMs. That's one thing holding back probably, that there's a trust thing.
Right. Yeah. But, it's are you willing to lose out on that $5 CPM and run these house ads?
Oh,
You know,
right.
so I guess again, that's a decision that they have to make.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, guys.
Nice,
Thank
thank you.
you.
All right.